And a very good morning to you. It is Friday right here on K24 this morning. My name is Jeff Mote. As always, we start off K24 this morning with your newspaper review. You look at the stories that you're waking up to as far as your dailies are concerned. And then just take a look on how the week has panned out. Especially on Friday, we always take an assessment of the state of the nation. Where do things stand at this particular point, politically, economically, and socially as well? We love it in your part of the conversation. You can get me at I am Jeff Mote or at K24 TV. Now, it has been a strange week. After a weekend of popularizing the Building Bridges initiative in Sagana, we witnessed quite the scuffle among members of parliament at a funeral in South Mugirango. Not the most honorable display at that particular event. And as if that was not enough, the charges against former Governor Mike Sonko just keep on piling up, with terrorism claims being the latest in the litany. It has been quite a week, and we look at that in the state of the nation on K24 this morning. But first, the newspaper headlines. Let's start off with the front page of your PDC, what you're waking up to there. Ruto's loyalty in focus at Moi event. Uhuru uses Kabarak memorial function to take a jibe at his deputy for his apparent lack of humility and patience, saying the late former president's rise to the top was as a result of many years of humble service. This is a story on page 4. And of course, as we look at the makings of Jubilee or the dismantling of this particular party, or probably even an implosion, where does it go from here with a seeming posture of all gloves off between the party leader and the deputy party leader as well? But this story makes front page of your People Daily this morning. Let's see what we have right here on the side as far as Mike Sonko's woes are concerned. Can you get more on this particular side? Okay, as they deal with that, let's move on to what we have. Let's see what we can get right there. Okay, that's what we get as far as this particular story is concerned. Let's move on and see what else we have as far as our dailies are concerned this morning. This is what you have in your copy of your People Daily. Let's look at your Daily Nation now. Is this the end of Uhuru? President Kenyatta, of course, at this particular event, and of course it is detailing where they stand as far as the relationship between the number 1 and number 2 are concerned, and many, many years passed in terms of what seemed like a budding and a very promising bromance. And at this particular point in time, where do they go from here? Really, that is the big political question. And as you can see, the Daily Nation trying to answer that. You can find that in your copy of your Daily Nation. Front page of the Standard, Uhuru's dismay at Ruto impatience. This, of course, was an utterance made by the president during the late President Moi's memorial. At a memorial service to mark a year since Mzee Moi died, President Kenyatta condemns arrogance of leaders, calls for respect and humility. Secrets of Moi's interactions with leaders and family were also revealed at this particular function. You can find the details of that particular story in your copy of your Standard with all the details therein. Let's see what else we have in the papers. This is Matters Economy front and center, talking about real estate prices. Muthaiga Donholm, top Nairobi land price gains as far as this is concerned. Let's scroll further down on this. Okay, this is what we have as far as this is concerned this morning, and that's what you're waking up to as far as your dailies are concerned right here. Those are the top view in terms of your headlines as far as that's concerned. But let's set the stage to one big story that we'll be talking about even on the show as we assess the state of the nation. Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta has slammed leaders who claimed he described as arrogant and are hell-bent to polarize the country in their pursuit to cling to power. Speaking during the first memorial service of former President Daniel Arap Moi yesterday, President Kenyatta, who seemed to have been referring to his Deputy President William Ruto, took issue with the dynasty versus hustle narrative, decried the arrogance being displayed by some leaders, saying the trend is worrying. And as Angela Cheror reported yesterday, Kenyatta advised his deputy to be loyal as his predecessors. Let's take a look at that story.
President Uhuru Kenyatta, who has been at loggerheads with his Deputy President William Ruto, today used the memorial service of his political mentor Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi to give his deputy an advisory on the importance of loyalty and patience in his bid to succeed him. Citing the cases of former Vice Presidents Moi, Kibaki and Kalonzo Musyoka, the head of state said that the three rose to power because they were diligently loyal to their bosses, in a clear dig to Ruto.
Heshima sio utumwa. Mzee Moi alikuwa mtu wa heshima. Alitumikia mzee wangu miaka 17 kwa heshima kubwa sana sana, mpaka wakati wake ukafika. Akaendelea kuongoza Wakenya kwa heshima kwa miaka 24 na akawacha na heshima. Akakuwa na heshima na yule ambaye alimfuatilia, hata kama haikuwa choice yake. Akakuwa na heshima na mzee Mwai Kibaki. Wenzangu, uongozi mtapata, hamna shida, lakini tafadhali tafuteni heshima na wenzenu, tuishi kwa heshima.
The head of state expressed great concern for the future of the country, saying the current crop of political leaders is filled with arrogance and impatience. President Kenyatta, who has since taken issues with the dynasty versus hustler narrative, decried the arrogance being displayed by some leaders, saying the trend is worrying. This, even as his deputy was conspicuously missing, was in the coastal region to popularize his hustler narrative.
Let's move away from impunity. Let us move away from the culture of abusing.
Arrogance that we see in today's leadership raises many questions as to the future of this country. It does. And I would plead with all my fellow leaders. Hakuna mtu mkubwa ama mdogo kushinda mwenzake. Hakuna mtu ambaye hana nafasi ya cheo, kwa sababu hiyo nafasi inapeanwa na Mwenyezi Mungu.
Kenyatta led the country in remembering the second president as a father figure to the nation, and to him personally, not only politically, but also in his life in general. Moi in 2002 settled on Uhuru Kenyatta as his preferred successor, but lost. He would later succeed President Kibaki in 2012 as the fourth president of Kenya. President Uhuru Kenyatta has kept a close bond with KANU chairman Gideon Moi, a sign of his mentor, with whom they have a working cooperation agreement.
Sisi tunamwambia huyu, tunamwambia KANU yamke.
Even as they commemorate 1 year since his departure, that saw Gideon Moi given the baton of leadership by the Moi family. Gideon has gone on to consolidate his political support, not only in his Rift Valley backyard, but also across the country, setting in motion his bid for the presidency next year. In other parts of the country, Gideon has been reaching out to the key political players, revamping the Independence Party KANU, and taking a leading role in the ongoing constitutional amendment agenda under the Building Bridges initiative. Angela Cheror, K24.
Thanks for that, Angela, of course, and that also will be part of the conversation we're having this morning, both within studio and without. In studio, I have Nordine Kagai. He's a lawyer and political analyst. First time on the show, by the way. Morning, Nordine.
Morning, Jeff.
Karibu sana, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Asante sana.
Yeah.
We'll also have Philip Chibunet, a political analyst, who will be joining the show via video link. We'll be talking to him as well on the state of the nation. Nordine, let me start with you on this, because from what we're hearing and from the political posture we are seeing, our leaders taking, and our leaders, I mean, at the very top, our president and our deputy president, do you think this puts the delivery of the Jubilee government into question, or can he still deliver without this disloyal number 2 that he says?
You know, the problem is these people were voted together. They are joined together, courtesy of the votes they got. Now, for any agenda the Jubilee government would want to put across, they have to be in tandem. You know, there is no way the president will work without the deputy, and the deputy will work without the president, because they made promises together. So any success or failure is allocated equal measure to both of them. So when Jubilee fails, it's Uhuru and Ruto. If it succeeds, it's both of them. So you can't divide the two. And that's what they fail to understand. Yes, the DP cuts a figure more or less like now he's out of government, but in reality he's still in government because the deputy president. He lives in the government office, you know. So at the end of the day, they need to work together. The problem is personal interest is what is the issue. And you know, when personal interest outweighs public service delivery, the Kenyans are the ones who are going to suffer at the end of the day.
Because even when you say that, do you feel that the only way the DP resolves this is to walk out? And that's the only way he's absolved of the blame of what's going on now that he won't be deputy president?
You know, the problem in Africa, that's a far-fetched thing. The leaders in Africa can never resign or walk out. You see, like the Dutch government, the entire government went home because of its management of Corona. The Italian prime minister resigned as well. But now in Africa, it can't happen. I believe he's alive to history of Kenya. The first vice president decided to walk out, and we see how that happened to him. Now, he's alive to the fact that 17 or 18 months to an election, if you stop being the deputy president, a lot can happen, because a day in politics is a long time. So I think it's more or less like his calculations to see how either he can go past this year, then probably next year can shock guys by walking out at the end of the day. Yeah.
And even as we look at that, because it's also the scenario of Jubilee as a party,
yeah.
And where it goes from here, we've seen them taking a tough stance in terms of trying to bring some order to the party as well. Does it go the distance at this particular point? You have a number one and number two who've been fighting, a number two who seems to be at another party, although he hasn't said anything. What do you think happens to this current ruling party?
You know, the ruling party is in tatters or in chaos, because at the end of the day, if you look at Isaac Mwaura, they're saying, for example, he was propagating ideologies of a certain party, UDA. Now the challenge will come in. The question they'll ask, in Kibra, Jubilee had a candidate. Maine Kamanda campaigned for ODM. Nothing happened to him. So it's more or less like selective justice. So they need to keep their things, the house in order. Because, you know, if you are in line with the powers that be in the party, then nothing happens to you. But if at all you oppose them, then you get to be someone like Isaac Mwaura. And that is not how things should be done. You see, the law should apply equally to everyone. So before we even talk about uniting the country, unite your house first. If your house is not united, how can you unite somebody else's house? Okay. It's like a child. If you don't instill values and principles when they are growing up, you can't start caning them at 25 years.
Right.
It won't work.
Okay, and we'll also be having that story for you, of course, in terms of Jubilee Party cracking the whip as far as they are saying errant members are concerned. That's going to be coming up right here, so you can stick around for that even before we get into our first break. But as you look at what we're talking about, we have key issues in terms of the president's priority. We have BBI that he's keen on. He's in a couple of assemblies already, very keen on passing it. Siaya, the first one to having passed it. There's that, and there's a big four agenda right now.
Yeah.
How do you see this playing out even as we move forward?
Actually, BBI is the only agenda. First and
Big
foremost.
Four is not an agenda anymore?
It's not. BBI is the current agenda. Because at the end of the day, what we talk about every single day is a BBI. Nobody talks about the Big Four anymore. Until recently, when we saw the cabinet secretary is moving around, it has been about the BBI. And you know, the sad thing is that this is the last year. Once the referendum campaign starts, no work will be done between now and 2022. Because, you know, politicians, once they kickstart campaigns, when the campaigns go off, then that means no work is going to be done. Everyone will be trying to secure their next interest. So once we have that referendum that people are calling out for, the issue is whatever was promised will never be delivered. And that is a challenge. Service delivery will be a myth, and that is what we need to look at. Because as a nation, the priorities that we have right now, the recovery of the economy, the joblessness, the poverty levels, are not being looked into.
Right.
We are busy popularizing the BBI, which if you ask most of the people, they would differ with the priority the BBI has over what they would want. Some people lost their jobs courtesy of Corona. Some parents have to fend for their children. You know, the free education in Kenya is a myth because it's not totally free.
Right.
So they have been told, take your children to school, but you'll have to pay. You see, so there's a challenge. Revive the economy, create jobs, help the people, the businesses grow. Those are the most important things at the moment.
Right.
But sadly, the political class does what it feels like.
But the pushback on that is that we are doing this to actually save this particular economy. You want to devolve these monies so you can get more in your counties. And from there, that job that you lost, that business that you closed from wherever you are, has an opportunity to be revived, so to speak. The
problem is, before you even talk about sending money to the counties, you need to fight corruption. That's the most important thing.
There's a chapter on that in BBI as well.
Now you see, as a lawyer, I take issue with the way they've addressed it. One, you can't talk about giving a time limit of how the corruption case should be handled without funding the judiciary properly, without making the judiciary independent. You see, those issues, when you want to manage or control the judiciary, there's no way then the corruption cases will be handled perfectly, because at the end of the day, it might be weaponized. That is the issue. If the judiciary is not funded properly, there is no way corruption will be dealt with. If the judges are not enough, if the courts are not enough, it will never be solved. So at the end of the day, you start from somewhere. You don't start from a document or saying, given a time frame. It's like sending you to work without bus fare. You'll never get there, and I tell you to here by 6, or I don't pay you salary. It's, it's difficult.
But I want to jump in there because that's a term that's been used severally in terms of weaponizing corruption.
Yeah.
Are we saying that the people who have been taken in for with charges against corruption haven't been corrupt, or are they claiming that, okay, I was corrupt, but Nordin was also corrupt, so we want both of us to go in? What exactly are we saying when you say it's being weaponized?
The problem is, you see, the government always has a file on someone. So when you're doing something, for most of these leaders, they look at you. So when you're in good terms with them, you will never go to court. But the moment you start having a different ideology, then most definitely you'll be sent to court. Now, the corruption cases we have, most of them are true. But the problem is, when you focus on certain individuals and leave others that are closer to you, then that's the problem. You see, the law should be free and fair to everyone. It should be seen to be done to everyone. It doesn't matter how close I am to you, Jeff. So long as I have stolen a pen, I should pay for that, even if I'm your best friend or your brother. But at the end of the day, if I look at those who are close to me and shield them and focus on those who I'm against, then the law is not applying there. Yeah.
Okay, and even as we talk about that, we'll also be taking your feedback. You can get me at I am Jeff Mote. As we move away from Jubilee politics and what we've seen playing out in the public gallery as far as that's concerned, let's look at a big story that took place this week. Now, nominated Senator Isaac Mwaura now claims that Jubilee Disciplinary Committee is targeting him due to his allegiance to Deputy President William Ruto. Appearing before the committee on Thursday, the senator dismissed allegations of disloyalty to the party, saying it's a plot to expel him from Jubilee Party. Nixon Kisaka had this story.
Nominated Senator Isaac Mwaura has termed Jubilee's disciplinary committee's summon as a witch hunt over his support for Deputy President William Ruto.
And my good brother Frank Mwendani must have gone to the internet to look for anything that would appear a fishing expedition. Things that were done in 2020. Why didn't you call me that time?
This committee is aware of the political temperatures that there are in the country. And the committee here is supposed to assist the party to govern itself in a proper manner.
Appearing before the Jubilee Disciplinary Committee chaired by lawyer Muchailu Matete, the nominated legislator accused the committee of forming an opinion to expel him.
Kamanda was with Raila Odinga campaigning in Kibra, together with Anne Waigoro in the celebrations. Why didn't you summon him? Why didn't you? So that is to mean it is discrimination. It's applying partiality. And even when you look at the evidence that you have adduced here, it is an afterthought.
Nobody, including the what did you call him? Not the, is he the accuser or who? The complainant, can purport to put words in Honorable Isaac Mwaura's mouth that he did not utter.
Mwaura links his woes to both Jubilee Chairman Nelson Zuya and Vice Chairman David Murade, who he says have publicly vouched for his removal.
I want to say that this is discrimination of the highest order, and I think you are looking for the weakest link. So that you victimize me.
The besieged senator is facing 3 charges, including pledging allegiance to another political party, acting in a manner that is disloyal to Jubilee Party, and contravening the Jubilee Party Code of Conduct.
What I did in Msambweni was to actually declare my unequivocal support for the deputy president, who is the deputy party leader of the Jubilee Party.
The disciplinary committee will now deliberate on today's sitting and give its decisions on the way forward for the nominated Jubilee senator. Nixon Kisaka, K24 TV.
Much involved.
You've alluded to this particular story as well, and even when it comes to what we are seeing right here, he says he's targeted because of being a supportive of the deputy party leader.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, especially if you're a nominated member of parliament or whatever representative you are, someone would say probably your first point of loyalty is the party.
Yes.
You can't play with that. What's your take on what Senator Mwaura was trying to say?
He's the author of his own downfall. Because at the end of it, if you're nominated by a party, you see, this is the problem. Our politicians are not honest. You're sent to parliament, courtesy of a party, because of the nomination. And then when you go there, you do certain things that are different from what your party stands for. Now the challenge is when your party has lost direction, like I told you. You see his reference in Commander. He has a reason to put blame somewhere as well. But now the problem is you can't say, I stole, but you also stole. So both things should be put together, and discipline action should be the same. At the end of the day, if you only focus on certain individuals, then you're being unfair or unjust. Right. And that is not the law. So if at all, Commander did the same thing, call him as well, call every single Jubilee member that campaigned for Imran Okoth, then put the law to apply equally. Right. Yeah. But
do you think that's a valid defense in the sense that, again, they did it, so why aren't you getting...
That's what I'm saying. It's they're full of deceit, you know, and it's all about personal interest. You know, he knows once he loses that seat, whatever is there, that's where you see how Sonko is angry, because once you enjoy the trappings of power and they are taken away, the sad reality hits you once you're home. Either one, if you are in certain camp, might be dumped because you offer nothing right now. And some of these people can't live outside the office they hold because they know nothing about what the people go through. They're used to VIP treatment on roads, VIP lift, VIP office. So when you send them now to the public, they can't survive. Right. And that is why he's fighting, he's looking for anything to hold on so that he doesn't get expelled.
Right.
Yeah.
And as we look at whatever he's trying to hold on to and the party itself, and this is a question I'm asking very many analysts who come on this show, does Jubilee field a candidate in 2022 for the presidency? What happens to Jubilee? Because right now it seems like it's staring right in the middle.
Does it even survive? That's the question. I doubt if it will survive because beyond the president, who else is there? Who else has an ambition to be the president? You see, it's a weird state because in Kenya, our parties are only to take you to the next election. We should have institutions, and then the fact that our parties are owned by individuals. So when an individual dies or when he stops subscribing to the ideas of that party, the party dies as well. Right. We need to, you see, like in the States, they have the Democrats, Republicans. We need to go that way.
But wasn't that the whole idea of Jubilee? They came, they merged TNA and URP, and this was supposed to stand for something longer than one election cycle.
Clearly, there was some dishonesty. You know, our politics dating back to independence is filled with dishonesty and disloyalty, you know, at the end of the day. So the problem is, if at all they really wanted that, Jubilee would be strong right now, then NASA would have been a party, you know. Then you have two parties, different ideologies. And I subscribe to the notion that our difference in ideology is not a recipe for enmity or hatred, but our growth in democracy. Because we can disagree to agree, but persuade me to understand why you think the way you think. If we had that, then Kenya would go far. Right. But the problem is our parties are vehicles. A vehicle will take you from point A to point B, more or less like briefcase parties. Once you get there, you throw them aside.
Right.
Yeah.
And as you see these vehicles, you know, taking whoever they're taking from point A to point B, there's also the question of the youth, because from where we look at it, there are not very many youth who have been taken from point A to point B, even within these particular party structures. Where do we go wrong? I had this discussion earlier this week, and I asked the question, is it that we're waiting for these opportunities to come and be given? Are we not aggressive enough to go out there and take charge?
The problem is the youth, since independence, have been used, seduced and abused. They're more or less like ladders. When it's campaign time, you're given promises, jobs, what have you, you know. But they never actually get those things. Now, when you go to parties, the youth have a section, the youth league. That's the only way they're heard. You are told, go discuss in your youth league and come and tell us. You see, so you are not part and parcel of the decision-making process of the party. They are not in any hierarchy unless they're in the youth league. So right now, when you see the country, people are saying the youth have been radicalized. I don't see it as being radicalized. Let me define what is happening for among the youth using a song. Coward of the County, Kenny Rogers, where the father tells the son, promise me, son, not to do the things I've done. Walk away from trouble if you can. It doesn't mean you're weak if you turn the other cheek. I hope you understand. Sometimes you don't have to fight to be a man. The son takes that up for years, and then he comes and tells the dad, I promised to dad not to do the things you did. I walk away from trouble when I can. I hope you don't think I'm weak because I didn't turn the other cheek. I know you'll understand. Sometimes you have to fight when you're a man. So the fight I'm talking about here is fight for economic and political freedom. Because for years, they have been put at a corner. They have been suppressed, they have been used and misused, and now They want to take part in the decision-making process of the country. They want to join the table because they have always been the menu, but now they're asking for a stake. And that is the challenge because that is not being given to them. So now, when the youth are up and asking questions, people are saying, oh, they've been radicalized. It's when like you buy a bottle of soda. Before you open, you shake it. Once you open, it spills over.
Right.
You know, so the issue is the youth now, the youth of today are different from those from independence because the challenges are different. Back in independence, after independence, you'd finish school, get a job, get an ID. Right now, it's different. People don't have IDs, people don't have jobs. And the political class haven't solved those issues. Every government promises things that they don't deliver. So the youth now are looking for an outlet to express themselves. Sadly, politicians are using that. The emotive issue. Some will use that to their benefit, will misguide them. If at all, people are genuine with the youth, you don't have to give them desk jobs. They have talents, they have skills. People can play football, they can play rugby, they can play they can play any sport. They can draw, they can sing. But these politicians, they only think about lying to them. 1 million jobs a year. How is that even possible?
Okay, I want to take a short break at that particular point in time because we need to pay some bills. After the break, we'll also talk about the wars and the rise and fall of former Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko, even as these charges of terrorism are brought against him. Where do we go from here as far as that's concerned? We'll also take a look at your feedback. You can get me at I am Jeff Morton or at KTT4 TV. Don't go too far.